Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone, and welcome to this month's Smart Table Virtual User Group. I'm really excited that you're here today joining us for the May session. I will talk about some things, but I want to make this as interactive as possible for you. So if you can, I would love for you in the question box, some of you have already found that, to introduce yourself. Tell me who you are and possibly where you're joining from, so we can make this a little more interactive. And Lisa has her hand up, so I'll see what she wants in just a second. So glad that you're here. Today we are recording this session, so if you're wondering about that, we'll get started in just a sec. Oh, Lisa put her hand down. So maybe that was an accident, but that was great modeling. All right, I think we're going to go ahead. Let me see who's here today. All right, well, we'll go on. And so if you can introduce yourself in the box, we'll find out who you are. There's Tina from Maryland. Hi, Tina. Glad that you're here today. So keep introducing yourself in that, so I know who's out there with me today. I'm pretty excited about this session today. We have a great show and share. We're going to talk about some successes, and I want to give you the opportunity to ask questions, and we'll talk about that. But we always do our introductions, and then we talk about our purpose. I'm going to remind you of the webinar resources that I've shared. And then we do have Chris Assel. She is our Education Solutions Specialist up in the Pacific Northwest area. She's going to talk to you about some great successes that she's had. We were going to talk about general maintenance. I usually get questions about cleaning and storage, especially at this time of year, like summer storage. What do you have to do? So we'll talk about that. Oh gosh, we've got Lynn. Hey, Lynn from Glasgow. Lisa's from Virginia. We are excited that you guys are joining us. So keep letting me know who you are. I am Heather Lamb. I lead the Smart Table Virtual User Group, and normally joining me is Tara. Tara's had an engagement to take care of today, so we're just going to run through this with myself, but I'm excited because Chris is on the line, and she's going to help to answer some questions if you have. She's got a really, really super great success story, so if you're listening to this recording after the fact, you can go back. She's going to share some really neat things happening up in a district that she works with. Don't forget that we share all of our resources. I've tried to be more diligent about putting everything into our educator-to-educator learning network, but also I do post all of the past sessions on our Smart Table Friend YouTube channel. So you can see it's on the page there, and I do post all those past sessions. So if you're a new user or need a little extra help, I encourage you to watch those, and for a number of reasons. Some of them are information. Some of them I've done make it and take it. If you're a new user, you could use those as resources to help you, because you can watch it and stop and start. I take you through a lot of the how to build activity packs, how to use the table. I've tried to make them meet some of the questions that I get pretty regularly about how to use the table, things like that. And then also it's a community to share. So definitely encourage you to do that. I'll show you where that's at. And I will be posting all of these resources on the Learning Network, which we'll look at, and then also the YouTube, the recording. Why do we do this? Well, you know, it's collectively to create, so I have had some make it and take it sessions to build your skills. You know, the toolkit, the Smart Table toolkit, it's not a really hard application to use. You just have to know some of the little tips and tricks with it, and some of the little nuances. But once you get going, the nice thing about it is that it's kind of template based. Once you understand some of the basic things, it's very repetitive. So I encourage you, if you're still struggling and you want to make some of your own activity packs, to watch some of those past sessions, and I talk you through some of those pieces and parts. I also encourage you to look on the Smart Exchange, because you can download resources, and I'll talk that. But the best last thing that I have is to share best practices and resources, but I love building community. I love connecting people to other table users. So if you're looking for someone in your area that might have a table you want to connect with, let me know and let's see how we can connect you. Even if you want to do it virtually. I mean, gosh, we have so many different avenues for virtual connections now. It's just a neat time to be in technology land. So you found that out because Lisa and Lynn and Tina told me who they were. So your question panel. So you can, what you can do, there's a couple of things you can do. You can raise your hand if you'd like. And if you want to raise your hand, I would love, we haven't really gotten that far, but if you want to raise your hand and ask your question of Chris or myself today, auditorily, so you could raise your hand and I'll open up your mic. So all your mics are muted at this point. And we like using GoToWebinar, but one of the difficult tasks is that it has a question panel, but it's not a chat panel. So I'm seeing your questions. Chris is seeing your questions, but I want to achieve kind of a more interactive kind of webinar. So if you're with us live, then definitely use that raise your hand if you want to. You don't have to. You can put your questions there. Like Flo just says that she's from Charlottesville with Lisa. The webinar is recorded, as I said, and after the session, every one of you that's attending live, I do send out a certificate, so you'll get a professional development certificate that's good for the hour. So if you need that, it's generic. So if you're with a group of people, then make sure everyone gets that if they haven't registered. So definitely do that. It just take something to give you credit for your time. I value everyone's time. So support documents. So let me come over here and let's just talk really quickly and talk about some support documents. So this is our main website. The tricky thing, sometimes when you're looking for resources, we always want to go here in training professional development, but what our website developers have done is put the table information here under the downloads page. So if I go down to the smart, so I'm going all the way down to the picture of the smart table, and if I come down here to the smart table software, then I can see, well, there's 3.1, version 3.1, which we'll talk about is the newest. That's the most current software. But then we have the most current table toolkit, which is 2.6 for Windows and 2.6 for Mac. So if you haven't updated your table software, you'll want to do that. And if you haven't updated your toolkit software, you'll want to do that. So let's take a peek at, if I come in here, it doesn't really matter which the table is because they're both together, but if I come over to support documents right here, the support documents will, this is where you'll see the, let's see, we're trying to, it's thinking about it, but this is where you'll see, here we go. So there's some support documents, there's a troubleshooting guide, here is your product guide, and here's the user's guide. So they've combined both the table and the table toolkits software. So you know, I'm a huge proponent of not printing out stuff unless I have to, but this you might find that you might need to refer to it because it is pretty robust with some pieces and parts in it. It is in multiple languages, so you could look here, but I would highly encourage you to if you're struggling with either your table or your toolkit, the toolkit user's guide is probably the best resource as far as learning that. So that was what I would encourage you to definitely look at. Don't forget those versions of the software. You can always go on your table to tell what version you are running. So this is our teacher's page, and you can do this. This is the you can click on that little icon and be able to click on it and then go into one of the tabs and it'll tell you which version you're running. So you want to be running version 3.1 to get the best user experience. You can also change your activity packs and all of that from this page. And then there's a reminder. So you can download it. So once you're up to version 2.6, you can actually, if you're it depends on your wireless speed, but you can, once you're up to 2.6, you can actually download this straight from the table. Just make sure you have an active internet connection, and you can check for updates. It'll go and download everything, take everything off of the table that it doesn't need, put everything new on the table. If you're don't have the internet access, you could always download it to a USB, plug it in, and it'll prompt you and to say, hey, looks like you need to do an update, and then take you through the same steps. So I've got a picture of the 442i. So we do have, this is our newest table, but I also have a picture of the 230i, which I know some people still have that. You do the same process for both. And then our Smart Exchange. So if you're not really ready to create your own activity packs, that's okay. So I highly encourage you to go to the Smart Exchange and download those. There's a ton now, and there's some new applications. So remember that you can do a search, but you might just want to be able to search for activity packs to see what's out there. So I can search here. And this one's always going to show up, and this one's because it's downloaded or the best match. But here's the trick. Right now, if I go to newest first, I can see the newest pieces, the newest activity packs that are out there. So if you just want to see, there's over 2,100 of them. So you can see that I like this one, I Learn with Animal Mechanicals. This is actually one of the newest ones that is available that's there, and it's a kind of a fun one. There's gears, slingshot, and a water. So this is an activity pack that has 3 new applications in it. So if you download this and it doesn't work right, or it says, hey, you don't have this downloaded on your table, I think it does it for you. But if it doesn't do that, let me show you what you'll do with this. So there are 3, those table applications are right here under Smart Table Applications. Remember that newest first tab? Here it is. Oh, look, somebody's got some new stuff up here. So there are some we call them premium pieces. So we have some premium software pieces or premium table activity packs, so you can see that one. But here's I Learn with Animal Mechanicals. You can download this. So if you want to, you can download this straight from your table. If you watch a previous webinar about this, I talk about this a lot. You can download these straight from your table, and if that doesn't work, you can download it to a USB and put it on the table that way. The easiest way now is once you update it to that newer version, the easiest way is to do it straight from your table. So that's what I highly encourage. But here's a slingshot. So this is cool because the kids have to like sling back this like a little slingshot kind of thingy, but elastic band, and then the balls have to go into the holes. But you notice the background, and it gets harder. You can set up some of the parameters, so it gets like you have to determine, do I need to pull it back hard or soft depending on the surface. There's an animal one, and then there's a water one. So those are kind of fun that you might want to check out if you haven't already done so. What else do we have? And then if you're looking for some example content, then you can, if you type in the Smart Exchange, let me go back to that tab. If I search, I'm going to search for example content. Now remember that if you pull this up, you're looking for Smart Table Activity Packs. It's going to pull up everything that has the word example in it. You only want the table activity packs. You can download notebook files, but they have to be inserted. So let me pull up my table toolkit. They have to be inserted inside of the table toolkit to get that full interactive experience, that multi-touch, multi-user experience. When I put them into Notebook, then I can have multiple kids working on a notebook page. So make sure. So you want to download the notebook file that you maybe want to use and then put it inside or add it to your activity pack. And it's pretty easy to do. You just have to, if I come here, here's a notebook file right there that I just added. And now that will work when that will be one of my activities inside of my toolkit. and I can add multiples and customize those. So I'm not going to do that today, but I highly encourage you to check out those videos on our Smart Table channel, my Smart Table Friend channel, so that you can work with those. The other thing is that Symphony and Scrapbook are new applications. So the cool thing about Symphony is that you can actually export your, it's a MIDI file and play it on something else, but you could record your music and then save it and play it somewhere, or you could play something else and add it into here and play it from the table. Scrapbook, if you update to version 3.1 with Scrapbook, you are able to export the kids' scrapbook pages into a PDF. So if you needed some content you want to show, you can't do that with some of the other apps, but with the way this one was developed, you can add that. You can add exchange items. You could have graphics that you bring in. So I encourage you, this is part of this example content, and when you update to version 3.1, these two are parts of that download process, so you won't have to add those on your own. All right. Also, I have in this file, Brandy Magdos is a Smart Exemplary Educator who's created some resources that are available on the Smart Exchange. So if you need a little extra help, if you search Brandy Magdos, you'll find this. I have included in this folder that I'll share, I have included a planning sheet so that if you want to plan some activities out, it's kind of, I plan by themes and I kind of get all of my stuff together, but it helps me kind of frame my thinking. It's kind of like a, what do you call that, storyboard. And then you can find out information from the user's guide on page 18 for Scrapbook and Symphony. So just a little high-level review of resources. So I also reminded you about those what's new applications I told you about. The Smart Table webinar that are there, the users Smart Table or www.youtube.com and then /Smart Table Friend. So check those out. We put our sessions. So if I do that, if I go to YouTube, let me go to Smart Table Friend. You can see that, not sure where that one went, but the January, I should have March up there, but I will make sure that it's there. So it may be in here and I need to reorganize it, but here's some of the past sessions that are here. So check those out. There also, there are these Smart Table Toolkit applications. These are good, but they're a little dated. So it could give you a kind of an overall, I left them up here because it might give you some ideas. The toolkit is a little different, not much, but it might help you because they're kind of a step-by-step little guide. It is a little bit dated as far as the content. So just know that if you use those, not the content, but the features of the newer toolkit. So just know that it's going to give you an idea, but you'll need to kind of change a little bit, but it's a good foundation. The last thing before we switch gears is we're not going to have another session until the fall, but I want to make sure that that you're able to connect with us over the summer and make sure that that you can, find resources. So we're using our CoursePark Learning Network to do this. And if I come over here to Smart Table, it's only going to pull up the Smart Table resources. Now, the nice thing about this is we would love for you to become a member because then you can also connect to the community, but you don't have to become a member. Well, there's the March session. So it's there somewhere, but here you go. There's the March session you could watch. And then also, I post some of the files that I shared, so in there the links and stuff. So I post the resources that I've used. So you could search here. You could join this network. You can tweet out. You can connect with us here and search up here educator to educator and it'll pull it up. So if you're looking for that, I encourage you to join our community and this is where you can find all those cool resources. All right, so there's that. All right, cool. I am almost doing a good job. I wanted to skip right through that quickly. I'm going to take a quick look I don't have any questions. So I guess you're all engrossed. I hope that is the case because we're all excited. So I do want to switch it over right now to Chris Assel. So Chris had a great opportunity up in Tacoma, and it's so good. They've had some great successes. I'm so excited, and she's pretty much going to take you through what's happening up there with those students and those teachers and a passionate instructional technologist. So very excited for that. So I am going to switch it over, but before I do, if you have questions, as Chris talks about this, she's going to share resources. I did put a link, but she's going to share some resources. But if you do have some questions for Chris, you can either raise your hand or you can type them in the box, and please think about the questions you want for us to answer, because this is your time. When you just watch the recordings, you might think of a question, but this is your great time to ask us those questions. All right, so I'm going to change it over to Chris. All right, and she's going to let us see her screen. Oh, there she is, and I'm going to go on mute, but ask us those questions. All right, Chris, take it away.
Okay, can everyone hear me?
I can hear you beautifully, so I'm guessing everyone can. Yeah.
All right, then we're in good shape. I have a really great story to share with you guys about a table project that we started in Tacoma, Washington, which is right outside of Seattle, Washington, this past fall. So Sherry Dussault is one of the TOSAs there, and she approached me because she thought that the table might fit a need in some of their special ed classrooms. So we worked really hard and we set up a 90-day pilot. And Sherry had worked with everyone in her department to kind of lay the groundwork for what this pilot needed to look like. And one of the things that she did that was so spectacular was set up a kind of pre-assessment to see where all of the students were before they started. They did some assessments throughout on a skill set they had predetermined they wanted to test on how it was improving as a result of the table. And then they did some final assessment just to see what progress they had made. And it was absolutely fantastic. I think at this point, almost everyone from SMART has been by to visit their tables there. Our CEO, Neil Gayden, has been there. Our CTO, Warren Barkley, has been there because they have accomplished some absolutely amazing things. And one of the great things that Sherry has done is she really wants to share everything that they have done with everyone who's out there. And she's actually really sorry she couldn't join us today. So she set up this website that we are looking at right now. This is a public-facing website, and everything that is on the website is available for all of us to access, which I think is just spectacular. But what they did is they set up 4 tables in 4 elementary schools. The students they were serving were students with autism, students who were hard of hearing, and some multi-ortho students. And she had really specific goals for each of those groups, and we're going to look at that because I'm actually going to open up a PowerPoint and show you kind of what they accomplished. But some really spectacular stories. So they had students who had never been able to do some of the things that they did with the table. And not only did they accomplish that activity on the table, but they were able to carry that over to other areas of their learning. And 2 of my very favorite stories, they had one student, she's in 4th grade, I believe, but she suffers from upwards of 100 seizures a day. So really her brain isn't allowed or able to process a lot of information. So she'd never written anything down. She'd never written her own name. She really just struggles with a lot of those activities. She was at the table. She was looking at some pictures of the kids in her class. There was another girl whose picture was up, and her name started with the same letter, which was the letter M. And the teacher asked the student if she could write the letter M, and for the first time ever, she did. And the amazing part is from there, she was able to start writing it on paper, and it carried over, and she's actually doing some very basic handwriting at this point. My other favorite story came from their hard of hearing classroom. They had a student in there who really just wasn't engaging with anyone. He wasn't engaging with the teachers. He wasn't engaging with the other students. They brought the table in, and at first he was incredibly reluctant to engage. But Sherry had the great idea that instead of touching the table, he could take his stuffed animal that he took everywhere with him and use the stuffed animal to touch the table. So basically they had him teach his monkey how to do the activities using the monkey on the table, which is a great feature of our table that any object can be used to interact with it. And within 2 weeks, the student was doing all of the activities on his own as his monkey watched him. And same thing, that carried over to paper activities as well. So just really great stories that are coming out of this particular pilot. From the 4 tables that they started with, they now have 23 and are in the process of putting a table in every building in the district and kind of growing from there. So super, super exciting. What I want to do is walk you through the website a little bit and show you what's there, and then we'll look at some of this data. And then, of course, if you have questions at any time, just pop them in the question box, and I am happy to answer them. So here we're looking at the just kind of introduction on the webpage. There's some great quotes here from the teachers. There's some pictures of the students actually using the table. You can see how excited they are. And then quotes from the teachers down here below. And then if we scroll back up to the top, you'll see that Sherry has organized all of the relevant information right here so we can all access it. Under Documents, she's just got some PDFs, basic table stuff if you need table resources. She's got a planning sheet, all of that. Their data is available there. And just the training files that she's used. Under Smart Links, a lot of the stuff that Heather referenced earlier in the call is available from those links as well. But then the most amazing thing is she has taken every single table activity that she has created throughout the course of this pilot and made them available to anyone who wants to download them. And really some great stuff. A lot of it designed specifically for her students. So some of them, and I think she has some letters to indicate. So Handwriting Without Tears, a lot of Handwriting Without Tears activities. Anything with DHH is designed for the deaf, hard of hearing. And just a lot of activities there that are set up to help with reading, to help structure learning, all of them for those environments. And I think there's even more here. She put a lot of stuff together. And all of those are available to download. She's got some great pictures. If you need pictures of students really engaged with the table, she has collected quite a few of those. And everything she's posted here, she's gotten all of the permissions so that we can share that and you guys can share that wherever you'd want. And then right here, she's got the data. And I'm going to open up her PowerPoint and show you that too. But just gives you an overview of where these tables were and the actions that they were looking for in those particular students. So the students were communicating verbally with each other, with other students, nonverbal communication, taking turns, muscle use. This was really significant for them in their multi-ortho class, and then time on task. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the PowerPoint. There are those data points that she was looking for again. So those are them, and then we've got the actual data. So looking in the district, the blue is their pre-assessment. Oops, that's going faster than I want it to. So the blue is their pre-assessment. The pinkish salmon color is where their students were after 6 weeks with the table. And then at the end of the 90-day pilot is the green, and that's where their students ended up. And you can see in all of these areas, the table really impacted students' activities. She broke it down, and we can look at it by school in here as well. This one here at Bernie, they did have a table that wasn't working very well, so they had some slightly different data there. So she doesn't have the final ones, but you can see that they're still improving over time. In the rest of the schools, they had access to the table the whole time, and just spectacular improvements in all of these students over that 4 or 3-month period. And that's what led them to decide that they really wanted to move forward with their tables. So that is kind of, it's a quick overview of a really amazing project, but I'd love to answer some questions if you guys have specific questions on what went on in Tacoma, how to set it up in your own district or anything like that.
Chris, do you want to maybe talk about
Yes.
what you did to get her started, the pilot piece, just kind of how
Yeah,
that
so
all came about?
the pilot piece, Sherry really knew that this was going to work, but like I'm sure many of you guys have experienced, she didn't necessarily have all of the buy-in that she needed from her district. So she really had to prove that these tables were going to make a difference. So what we did is we worked to come up with a pilot that allowed them to actually try the tables for 90 days. So we worked with one of our channel partners who was great at supporting that. We got the tables in. We kind of arranged to do some basic introductory training. We have a great program that Heather actually helped put together. We launched that. And then from there, Sherry kind of took it over, created a lot of these resources, and she's actually working really hard right now to create her own user group. It will be kind of based in the Seattle area, but we'll be virtualizing it as well to share this kind of nationwide with places who are trying to use the table in a special needs environment. But all it took was a little creativity in finding a way to get the tables on site. And they did come from my demo pool, but it was, a creative way to do it. She worked with them, and she created all of the kind of benchmarks that she was looking for by herself, and then has posted those on the website for everyone who needs access to them.
We do have, there's a question, Chris, about how long, so the pilot was what, 90 days?
It was a 90-day pilot.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted to have enough time to really have some genuine data, so we had to get everyone used to the table, so the students used to using it, the teachers used to interacting with it, and from there start to really collect those measurements.
And then we can definitely, can you copy the URL into the
Yes.
yeah. While she's doing that, if you notice some of the things, the pieces though, that are very, very simple, but they had very deliberate outcomes that they were looking for. And I think that's what's really nice about this. And I think maybe if, I don't know if you can open up, do you have the toolkit and open up maybe one of the activity packs so that people can kind of see that you really don't have to do a ton. I mean, there's very simple things. A lot of the stuff that's on the exchange sometimes is kind of tricky and maybe harder than what you want to do, but I encourage you to look at those. Do you get that posted in there?
It is not letting me post it.
Okay, I'll try to. I think I have it. So if you want to maybe go back and find one of those.
Let me grab one of her resources, and we'll go ahead and open that up.
Let me see. I think.
So this one here, actually, I think was a really good one. So let me open that one up. And this one, if it's the one I'm thinking of, she created it specifically to help the students understand how to read from left to right. All right, where did that guy go? There it is. It's right in front of me. All right.
Oh, it's opening. Trying to.
It's trying. It's thinking really hard.
We're trying to get that link too out, so we'll try to get that. It's thinking about that.
Yeah. Poor computer. It feels overworked this afternoon.
I think so. We'll get that going. While that's doing, I'm trying to find the link myself, so give it a second. If you're thinking maybe you can, I know we've had a couple of questions, but maybe like besides that, maybe there's some tips or tricks or some things that Sherry said that you can remember that helped maybe working with the kids or even building pieces.
So, working with the kids, it was really a matter for her of finding some activities that were appropriate. And so she did create a lot of them, but also kind of pulling in things that the teachers were using. And she did mention that handwriting without tears was a spectacular combination with the table. And so she basically just pulled all of those files into her table activity packs. And then it was, for the teachers, just a great way to supplement what they were already doing in the classroom.
Oh, no.
So I did get the link up there for you while I'm waiting for this to open.
I'm not sure why that's taken a long time. I don't think I've had that ever. But Chris did share the link with you, and Sherry did say that you guys have, she's given permissions. So I don't know if it's stuck on there.
Yeah. All right, let me try that again and see. It will go faster this time. Yeah, so Sherry did specifically create that page. It was internal only until just last week, but she went through and made sure that everything was usable by people outside of her district as well. So it is ready to go. So anything you find there, you can use. All right, I'm going to try this again.
Oh, there it goes.
We go. Okay. So this one, let's see, what did she put in here? So this is a hot spaces activity. So this might not be the one that I am thinking of.
They can get an idea, though, could they?
Yeah.
And we can try another one.
All right. So that's one she's got in there.
There you go.
And, yep. Oh, so this is the one I'm thinking of. So basically what she did here is she just took backgrounds that kind of suggested that motion. So here we've got the train track. I think she's got another one with a road.
You want to, yeah, she can put it into preview and then you guys can see it. So the nice thing about this is that the teacher can build this and they don't have to be in front of the table. So the teacher can build activity packs and then preview it just like Chris just did. And then you can see how it's going to work. Oh, that's cool.
These were just set up with objects like the train that needed to move just left to right and then appear in that space. So there's quite a few of these in here. So same thing, make the apples fall to the ground. So understanding that concept of left to right and top to bottom. And all she did was create her backgrounds in Notebook, create her objects in Notebook, export those as images, and plop them in here. And she said, the amazing thing was it didn't really take much time at all. And then she had stuff that was appropriate for her learners.
Well, and the nice thing, too, is that, she used Notebook, but any kind of backgrounds, like if you don't have Notebook, which you do have a license to get Notebook even if you don't use Notebook, but you could use backgrounds from PowerPoint or it just has to be an image. Nice. These are really neat.
Yeah, so she just put these together and just stuff that, would make sense to her users. She also, another thing she did too was she customized the background on all of her tables so that all of the instructions for kind of loading and interacting with the table appear on the background when her teachers start them. So she really wanted to make sure that all of this was as easy as possible for everyone to use. But now that she's done all this work, she's happy to share it with everyone.
Love it, and I like the idea of the table putting the background and the directions. What a great idea! What a simple idea, but great.
Yeah, it was. It's very cool, and the way she did it too, she included some pictures of students from her district, so it's very engaging to look at as well.
Very nice, very cool. Love it.
So that's one example of something she put together. The other thing she did a lot of, which she unfortunately couldn't share with us, but really recommends, is she pulled a lot of her students' images into these activities. So for turn taking, the background would actually have a picture of that student, so they would know that it was their turn, and that was their activity to do, and then when it went on to the next page in that particular application, it would be another student's picture, and it would be their turn. And she said that was super powerful in helping them understand the concept of turn taking.
So before you, well, you can go ahead and maybe get another example. So we do have a question from Admiral. She says, is there any issue using handwriting without tears on the table? So I'm guessing that maybe she just used parts of it.
Let's
I don't
pull
know
one
the
up
answer.
and see what she's got. So we'll do this handwriting without tears. Where do you start letters? And I haven't seen her do these yet, so let's see what it looks like.
Okay. That's a great question. And then Lynn's, the project, the pilot was a 90-day. So how long have they had the tables, Chris?
They've had them since January. So the
Okay.
pilot went January, February, March, and then they've actually since then ordered quite a few more tables.
Very cool.
All right, so this one, so she put them into Notebook, it looks like.
Oh, you're not going to be able to open this because it's
Yeah,
in
so that
Notebook.
one I can't preview, but she
Yeah.
must have then, what she did is took those Handwriting Without Tears pages and probably put them into Notebook and then just made it a notebook file on the table.
Yeah, that one, that's a great question, Avril, about that. Legally, she may want to not, I don't want to infer anything, but those, because of the copyright stipulations, she might talk to Sherry about
That might
that.
be one about,
Yeah, so
yeah.
if you're watching this remotely, you're hearing me say that, and if you're listening to the recording, remember that copyright is always, you should have that. Remember that, keep that in the forefront. If you're going to share, we would love for you to share these on the Smart Exchange. But always remember that copyright, we've got to get attribution. So just to make sure that we're doing our due diligence. So those might not be there the next time you look at that site just because of the copyright. But you can see, I think, that kind of the really neat ways that Sherry has taken the information. Oh, this is a little more robust.
Yeah, so let's see what is in this one. So she's got, let's see what's in her hot spaces. Oh, so this one is just a letters one. Let's go ahead and preview that. I think I've actually seen her with this one where you're sorting the letters and the numbers. She's got the instructions in there. And this one actually, she did a lot of activities where she wanted the students to reach across the table or reach across the front of that particular student, and this looks like that could have been set up that way. So here, they're just sorting the letters and the numbers, and the letters come into the middle, and the numbers don't.
And on this one, if you're wondering kind of how this is constructed, so the background where it says drag only the numbers, and then the number thing and the circle, that's a background. And then in hot spaces, you create that space that's hot where they start and end, and those letters are actually from the Smart Exchange. So, and then these little like tokens come when you build that. So, I mean, not really too tricky. So, yeah, so just taking kind of that foundational. So, wait, keep on here for just a second. Will you go back to that one? So, just to kind of talk you through. So, if you have, oh, wait, sorry, Chris, I didn't explain that. Will you go back to the home page of it just so we can talk through it? So if you look at this, this is how a table activity pack looks like, and then Chris can click on the Hot Spaces tab or the icon. And then if you haven't built anything, just kind of a structural thing that causes people most, it kind of skips them up a little bit or tricks them up. So you have the letter activity, then you drag in your background. So Sherry made the backgrounds, and you can make a background, or you can use something from the Exchange. And then step 3, so that circle, that yellow circle that you're seeing, that's the hot space. And you have to tell it where do you want them to start and where do you want them to end. And you can do labels, or you can bring items in from the Smart Exchange. And then if you wanted to, if they needed an auditory support, you can actually record your voice or record stuff inside of the toolkit right there. So Chris, so that activity has an intro to it. So that's really a really nice example. And then you have numbers and you have letters and numbers. So very nice. What do you have on here?
It's got Addition Plus in here. So then she's got how many letters are in there, and they're all working together to count what are the letters and what aren't the letters.
Nice.
So that's a good one there.
So as I talked before, the theme of this sounds like letters and numbers, kind of.
Hmm.
So that would be your theme. So nice ideas. Simple.
Yeah.
So these you
Yeah.
just drag in the little token. Um, oh, we have a great, so Tina says another way to incorporate handwriting practice is to use the paint application with a blank handwriting page. Love that
I
idea.
like that too.
I saw somebody, and it may be in this things that they had a background and the student had the kid's picture, and they were using the paint to practice drawing the first letter of the student's name.
Yep.
So it doesn't
Sherry did
have to,
quite a bit with that.
yeah. I knew I'd seen that in there. So as you can see, Chris is demonstrating. It doesn't have to be hard. You do have the Smart Exchange resources, and now you have a great resource. And I'm guessing that if you want more information about this, you can go to we've put the link out there, but Sherry, I'm sure would be, like as Chris said, they're going to be talking about doing a user group, but if you need some more information about it, would love to connect you with either Chris or Sherry and find out, some more details. If anybody, does anybody else have, or we have some time, if you have any more questions, or if you would like to share something, I would love to let you share anything. So if you want to share anything, you could raise your hand, and I can unmute you if you'd like to share anything that you've done with the table or any questions or comments. We've got a couple more minutes. I don't really have too much after this. I wanted to give Chris a bit of time to, really talk about her success is. So I congratulate her for taking us through all that. And what I just going to talk orally through kind of the last things, unless, let's see, maybe I'll switch it back to me. Thanks, Chris, for taking us through all of
No
those.
problem. And Sherry's information is actually, her contact information is on her webpage. So that link is in the question box. And if you guys go to the website, all her information is there, and she's happy to help support anyone.
Very cool. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. So for the time, I think what we'll do is we're getting down. I have a few other little tidbits of information, but if you have any questions or you decide that you want to share, you can raise your hand. We still have a bit. Let me change me and share my screen. Oops. Here we go. So if you're joining us live, I want to thank you for that. If you are listening, I want to thank you also for taking the time out of your afternoon to join us, and hopefully you find these beneficial. Doing things virtually has its challenges, but it also has its benefits. And we're recording this, so I've been recording all along. I definitely want to applaud Chris in her what she's been doing. So check out what she's been doing with Sherry, and if you have those questions, I'll include this in the follow-up, so you can go check that out if you haven't had a chance. I want to remind you that, I get a lot of questions at the end of the year about cleaning the table, but cleaning the table at the end of the year is probably not the best thing because it becomes pretty germy with lots of fingers. So I highly encourage you to periodically clean your table. I've experienced some tables that I think they were afraid of cleaning, but use something. You can use alcohol-free. Don't use alcohol on the 442i. Someone made a mistake, and it's not bad, but it gets slimy. It's not going to hurt the surface. So whoopsie. So it's not that good for it, basically. So you want to use alcohol-free. Household glass, or I've even used wipies, so those alcohol-free wipes that you can use. So you could try those out. The other question I always get about this time is summer storage. So you could leave it in your room and it'd be perfectly okay. I just recommend turning it off, obviously, and unplugging it. But also, I've come into some situations that have been kind of quite interesting where people decide they're on rollers and they've been turned into movable carts. So not for any reason, it's just odd. But I have seen people protecting the surface with like a baby crib, just a sheet, so that people realize that it should stay in the room or wherever you're placing it, and it protects it from dust and things. So protecting that surface just with that a baby crib sheet seems to work kind of cool, or just a sheet draped over it and tucked away wherever you're storing it. It doesn't need any extra things, but you don't have to do anything to it or take care of it or anything like that. But just that, I wanted to talk about that because I usually get that question about this time. With that, we're kind of winding down. I wanted to give you any last bits of, if you have any questions that you want to ask Chris, anything, and I do appreciate her joining us. I also appreciate you always. We aren't going to have any summer ed-to-ed webinars, but what I would like for you to do is connect with us through the Smart Learning Space community and connect with us. Tell us all your great, exciting things that are happening. Maybe you want to use this time to practice with the toolkit and you're having some challenges with that. I definitely would encourage you to check out and connect with the community there. So don't forget that if I search, all I have to really do is if I search Course Park, if you have a Smart Exchange login, it's the same login. I'm logged in, but if you have a Smart Exchange login, let me go here, and if I go over to the tab right here, the training tab, this is going to take me to Course Park. So that's another easy way to get there. From here, you're going to go to the main page. I would just go down here to My Learning Networks. I've already registered for this. If you're not part of it, if you search Educator to Educator, you're going to find both the Educator to Educator regular webinars that Tara and I facilitate, and then the table webinars as well. Just a good place. I made a course. The course isn't anything except how to get in here. So if you're kind of lost, you can watch that. But if I go over to the board is where you find all those posts, and I can come in here and search Smart Table and find the resources here. And I will post this as well as the file and the information that Chris shared today. All right, I think that's it. So Chris, thanks so much for joining us today. I really, really appreciate it and sharing all her great successes. I don't see any other questions. I want to wish you all fantastic, unless you're year-round school or whatever you're in whoever you work with, because I know some of you aren't in school settings. So I wish you great, fun summer activities. If you spend some time looking at the table toolkit or your table, use that community. You can always email us at ed2ed@smarttech.com. If you have a specific question about technical support, I encourage you to contact support for those challenges that you might have. But with that, I think I'm going to give you back about 6 minutes of your time if you're live, and if you're watching us through the recording, I hope you're also having an equally exciting day. So with that, thanks everyone for always taking that hour out of your time to join us. It's great seeing you. I hope that these are beneficial to you, and we'll see you next school year in September. So have a fantastic rest of the day. Thanks, Chris, and thank you.